Hi, this is Ken Santapetro for the 2025 Connecticut Catholic Men's Conference. The conference is coming up on September 27th, 2025, and you need to get your tickets now. So go to www.ctcatholicmen.org. Please buy your tickets in advance, or you can get them at the door. We'd much prefer to know in advance. So we welcome you today because we wanted to try to answer the question of why men should attend the Catholic Men's Conference. And to do that, we're going to talk to our MC, who has been doing this for 7 or 8 years. His name is Sam Tadzia. He's a great guy, and I think you're going to enjoy the few minutes that I spoke with Sam. All right, fantastic. So we're here with Sam Tadzia, and we're going to introduce Sam to all of the guys, not only in Connecticut, but all over the United States. And so Sam Tadzia, our Master of Ceremonies. Men know you as our Master of Ceremonies. How do you introduce yourself? Husband, father, carpenter, speaker? What's the headline for you?
What's the headline? Well, the newest thing that I've got going that I'm sort of all in right now is we're calling it mentorship. So I was trained by the Catholic Site Institute and I'm partnered with them now. And mentorship, as we see it, is kind of a mix between therapy, coaching. Um, it's kind of in a middle space. But basically trained with like a psychological background, but really into a new model of accompaniment. It's mental health support, but it's also just like uh, what I want to do is I want to do basically provide brotherhood. I want to be able to walk with men, and so yeah, I'm in this. I would be consider myself a Catholic mentor right now.
Great.
And then on top of that, yeah, there's a lot of youth ministry speaker, retreat leader, but then the primary is of course a
Yeah,
Catholic husband and father of
right.
seven. I'm a father of seven at this point.
Except I've got two. I can just about handle that. Um, wow. Well, I want to know something. Tell me why. Why should a man attend a Catholic men's conference? This is serious. I mean, from your special view of the day as the MC, you're up on the stage, you notice moments of grace that most of us miss, I would think. And can you look into the camera right now and invite a man who's hesitating? Speak to him like a younger brother, someone you're mentoring. Uh, why should he go?
I would say the main reason he should go is to be with other men, to develop relationships that are grounded in the Catholic faith. I think it's really important for men to do that. I think one of the big temptations for men these days is to isolate. We kind of like have our role, if we're fathers and husbands, we provide, we go to work, we sort of just kind of like endure. And I think the benefit of something like the men's conference is you sort of set aside everything else to come and spend a day with other good men, and just kind of remember the foundation of that call because you get lost in it in the monotony of every day. And so yeah, isolation is the problem in so many guys' lives, and sometimes they don't even realize it, but they need men, they need brothers who will not just like walk with them, not just just do life together, but even sometimes to point out their blind spots. Like if you have a good man who's your friend, who you trust, who has your best interest in mind, your family's best interest in mind, and they say, "Hey, you've been betting a lot of money on sports these days. Yeah, it seems to be really getting to be a big thing in your life. You might want to dial that back." Something where they might even be cognizant that something's getting a grip on them,
Yeah,
but if they develop a real sense of brotherhood, if they can meet the right people, which is, I mean, these are all the guys who are coming to the conference. There's
right.
several hundred guys, so you
Yeah,
you may just you may just sit down next to somebody who becomes like a real brother to you,
right.
eat lunch with somebody,
Yeah,
bump into somebody they haven't seen in a long time. I think the benefit for me from the position of MC is a lot of people, especially toward the end of the day, will approach me just because they've seen me And they'll introduce themselves and they'll tell me something that was valuable for them about the day.
Hmm.
And it's kind of funny. I feel almost like a fraud because they'll thank me as if like I'm the, it's like, no, no, no. There's a lot of guys who actually deserve that, who are behind the scenes making everything happen here. But it is always a joy to see that men are benefiting in that way.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Excellent. I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, I love all the guys that attend, but I think I like it most when I see two guys coming together
yeah,
or a little group come together. And when you see guys that are sporadic, like sitting two or three seats apart and they're not into a group, I feel like, oh, I hope that for the next talk, that one guy sits next to the other and says, "Hey, what did you think?"
right,
Because it's
right.
just that that helpful. Um, have you seen in the last, we're talking about 8 years or so that you've been MC now, this might be year eight, I suppose. What has changed in the conference culture since you started? Have you
Hmm.
noticed anything that's changed other than the pieces of the conference? Anything that you noticed about the guys or their attitudes or questions? Are they getting it more now, do you think? I think so. I think that
So
guys
too. I,
really,
I think that there's a culture-wide movement back to the sacred. You're seeing the rise of even young people coming back to the church. Some places in droves. College students who are getting interested in even more traditional forms of Catholicism. The culture has been really feeding people a superficial idea of life, and that is, truth, beauty, and goodness. And so I think we're at a moment in time where people are seeing through it. So I think that what the conference offers is one more, you know, gut punch level of what we're actually looking for, something that speaks to the deeper needs of a man's soul. So yeah, I think that, we're in this transition of culture wide taking the faith more seriously. And if I was to say what's one thing that could really push that and make it impact the culture even more, it would be for good men, specifically good men, to rise up as the leaders that God calls them to be, and to take that seriously, to engage with the culture in that way, to become mentors to
yeah,
young people. And in order to do that well, the old you can't give what you don't have. They have to become grounded in their faith, and so we offer that at the men's conference.
yeah, that's true. And this year, the speakers really are going to add to that. I mean, Dr. Ray is he'll be speaking the language that you'll understand as a mentor. I mean, essentially, that's what he is for men, working as a psychologist. Back when I remember when you started, we were talking about the fact that you were younger than a lot of us there, and we were trying to make some tweaks to feel like, yeah, that for the other age group, is this for me? And we talked about games and stuff. And I made a note here that I'm taking us back to 2019. I remember being at the school where we had the St. Joseph's Hammer contest. I'm sure you remember that
Oh yeah.
fondly. And did you have any favorite first swing story, or should I ask you first just to describe briefly what the game was and what we experienced there, which I don't want to do it an injustice, but I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, it was just through the course of the first part of the conference, there was just a big 6x6, and there was a way to basically everybody got a chance to try out nailing in three framing nails for time, and they wrote down their times, and then I was able to collect the times, and I took the three best times and invited them to come up and compete in front of the whole conference,
Right.
and it was fun. The guys got to
Yeah.
cheer on each other, and they had to hammer in a lot more than three nails. The final challenge was much more complicated. They had to do left-handed, and it was awesome because ultimately Father Jim, I think he's the official chaplain of
Chaplain,
the conference.
chaplain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he is such a gift, by the way. He's just one of my favorite people. He's just doing such awesome things in the church. But he was a builder before he became a priest, and so he stepped in and he pretty well manhandled the competition, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was just a good time for the guys to laugh and be, just entertained for a moment. Tap
Yeah.
into that just masculine spirit,
Right.
competitiveness,
That's
and
right.
joy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just something I hoped to bring to the conference is a little
Yeah.
levity, just to.
Well, the levity for me was that I think that was the last year we used incense at the mass, or we were preparing for it. If you remember, something had gone off, the incense or something, and well, I don't remember, the fire alarm went off during the
Yep.
contest.
Yep.
So I've got a video, and I remember sitting in horror in the first row. I'm watching it with the Archbishop at the end of the row. And he's just looking around and we're just all listening as the guys are running in the back saying, it's only a drill. It's only a drill. And the thing is going off and you're going, okay, so and so's going and we're still timing it, pushing it apart. That was great. I mean, that was
Yeah,
a
that's funny.
very interesting day.
Better to
Well,
have that happen then than during,
oh,
30 minutes into one of the speakers' talks, something like
oh
that. So,
yeah, because that would have been really something else. Um, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Red Barn Ministries. Um, that is your how do you describe that? It's your apostolate, right? That's the way that you any of the things that you do, you speak under the heading Red Barn,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Ministries,
yeah, a lot. And Red Barn,
Red Barn.
I bought a piece of property, gosh, it'd be like probably 13, 14 years ago. It was an old farm and had this barn on it, and we didn't know what we were going to do with it. But we cleaned it up and I put a new floor in it, and it was just a great little building. And my brother said, "Well, you guys should throw a fall party here. We should just have a bunch of people come together. This is just really cool." And we did. And then a friend who was really involved in ministry said, "You should use this for ministry." And specifically men's ministry. And we started running what we call the meet and greet, MEAT. It's an
Yeah.
epic barbecue level men's event, kind of unique. It's full of a bunch of shenanigans and tomfoolery, and a big, again, hundreds of pounds of meat. Just this big barbecue style thing, which we still do. We've been doing it for I think almost 15 years now.
Hmm.
But it kind of went from there, and then the idea of um, doing more ministry events came up, and so I started speaking in churches and schools and conferences, and we just kind of the name stuck, Red Barn Ministries, and so yeah, um, a lot of the work that I do ministry wise kind of flows through Red Barn Ministries.
And so, how would schools or parishes reach you for youth events? They would go to your website, which is called
Redbarnministries.org.
Red.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, try to
very
keep it
good.
simple.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
And
I'll
you're
be
on.
launching another website by just my name, samtodzi.com. That'll be happening soon, and that'll be able to push them toward booking for ministry events too. But that's not out just yet. It'll be soon. It'll be soon.
Yeah. And so, of course, you're also a book author,
Oh
right?
yes, yeah, an
Children's
esteemed an
books.
esteemed author. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yep.
Mhm.
I've got the baby book, Daddy's first baby book, a book with the intention of um, getting dads to sit down with their babies and enjoy a little time reading with them. So it's a book that yeah, it looks at the magical animals in our lives that become our delicious food. So yeah,
Right.
it usually gets a good laugh. And
Yes. And I know that I'm going to be getting one for my son this year. So
yes, perfect.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. What are you personally hoping men is going to receive this year from we decided to highlight the Jubilee year. Obviously, we're in the Jubilee year. And I always have a feeling that our themes are well timed out. We referred to the documents that came out of the Vatican. They referred to the men as the Pilgrims of Hope. And so
Mhm,
then our whole poster that was put together by your friend and associate Kelsey
mhm.
does a wonderful job on our graphics. To give him a plug, what was his website? Do you remember his website?
Probably Kelsey Doherty
Yeah, right.
or
That's right.
something. He's probably got that
I'll
locked in.
find
Yeah.
it and I'll
Yeah.
I'll link it in here.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, we should probably try to come up with one prayer intention that we carry as we go into the conference about this Pilgrims of Hope. It goes with your mission of mentorship. It goes along with everything that we want to provide to men. Um, do you have any thoughts on, as people are preparing mentally to go, trying to make the decision? They've heard what you had to say. You should travel along with another guy. You should attempt to get yourself ready. Get ready for the spiritual booster shot, which I call it, which is the men's conference. Um, so what do you think, how do should guys be thinking to get ready? Sorry to belabor that, but
Um, as far as get ready, I don't know. I think that expect to find something in the conference that you can take away that you can implement in your life to take you deeper in the faith. The kind of men who find themselves to the conference, I would imagine, have some level of practice of their faith.
yeah,
Perhaps somebody's just randomly invited, and for them, it's kind of a first exposure to the
right,
Catholic faith,
right.
which is awesome. Um, Actually, I could tell a quick story. It was actually a men's conference in Springfield that really brought me back to the faith. It was one of like the first big events in my reversion back to the church. So so yeah, there's a lot that you can get out of it. But for the guy who's like, I've been to the conference before, it's good. I think maybe I'll go. I think you should be looking for that one takeaway that you can implement in your life that's gonna, even if it's just a 1% change, something
Yep,
that's gonna draw you closer to Jesus. So it could be something that one of the speakers says. It could be a prayer. It could be a way to pray for your family. A practical, tangible takeaway, something that you can tactically put into your life. That's the thing that I'm always looking for. We're men, right? We
yep,
compartmentalize things. We're talking about spiritual realities. Sometimes that can seem difficult to grasp, people say things like offer it up. It's like, okay, can you be more specific? Like we're guys, like what do you actually mean when you
right.
say,
What do you want me
to
to do?
go, yeah,
Yeah,
go deeper? It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, this is very abstract. So I'm always encouraged when I have somebody who can give a tangible thing, something where it's like, oh, and now I understand what you're actually asking me to do, or
right.
what you're actually saying is going to improve my faith life, which is going to make me a better husband or a better father. Yeah, I always think it's about that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Not even just a rah rah because that can fade. What we really need is here every day. Start your day with this, or when noontime happens, set your alarm. Something that's really just like it's going to hit you. It's going
yeah,
to be in your way, and it's
yeah.
going to draw you deeper into your relationship with
Oh,
Jesus.
excellent, excellent. I mean, that's what I tell people was the crux of they ask me, why did I volunteer? Because I was at my first conference and when I left there thinking, is there one thing that I can do? And so I said, well, yeah, I'm going to join up that adoration team
Mm,
church. Then it was
mhm,
because the one thing I could do, yes, I'm going to join up as a catechist in my church. And
mm,
then is there one thing I can do? I looked for opportunities outside and the committee was looking for somebody else, men's conference.
yep.
And so I raised my hand. And as you know, in every volunteer opportunity that there's out there, if there's somebody willing to say, I'll do it or I'll try
Mhm,
it,
mhm.
there's somebody willing to say, of course, not are you qualified? They want to say, yes, yes, you can if you're willing to jump in the deep end and you can do it. So, absolutely, if there is one thing that you can do to improve your faith, to increase your faith incrementally every year, right? I mean, is that the idea?
Yeah, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So, all right. Boy, Sam, I tell you, over the years, we've gotten closer in what we thought is important. We unfortunately do less games, but we're going to have to introduce one soon. Maybe next year we'll have to reintroduce a game.
Great,
And
absolutely.
if I stop playing with different locations every couple of years, but we keep growing, and I
Yeah.
keep looking for bigger venues. So as we continue that pursuit, we're so happy to have you as the MC. We think that you are so vitally important because you lend not only you lend consistency to our efforts.
Mm.
That's why the guys come in, they breathe a sigh of relief. There's Sam. He's not going to pressure us, not going to push us. He's going to give us some funny hand signals though to get started or to tell us when it's time to be quiet. And he's not going to be afraid to hold up the sign when he's got to tell the speaker, "Hey, one more minute, and you've got to cut it
That's
down."
that's
So,
it. It's
yeah,
a simple job. It's no
yeah.
problem.
Well, you know what? That it is for you, but not for everybody, and we appreciate that. So, God bless you and your family. And is there anything that you wanted to add? I'll just exit out on just
No, that sounds good.
we're good.
Sounds
And
good. Looking
okay,
forward to it. Looking
All
forward to the
righty.
conference. It's coming up, rapidly approaching.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
And all righty. God bless you. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, man. God bless.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.